Engineers. Today we're here to talk about mechanical engineering. Today's mechanical engineering and I'm a civil engineer. But don't worry, I have a mechanical engineer for you. So, talking about this takes me back 5 years ago when I started my career in civil engineering and there was so much confusion. To welcome the speaker, Engineer Cornelius. He's going to introduce himself. So, Engineer Cornelius, you're most welcome to
Thank
Uhandisi Talks.
you. Thank you so much, Marion, for having me. This is such an honor to be on
Mm,
Uhandisi Talks.
mm,
Yeah, I'm very much humbled. Thank you. Otherwise, yeah, as you said, my name is Engineer Cornelius
mm,
Mpesi,
mm. Yes.
based in Malawi, and I am a mechanical engineer, a professional mechanical engineer registered with the Malawi Engineering Institution, and I'm also registered with the Institution of Mechanical Engineers that is in the UK, and I have 8 years experience in engineering. Those 8 years, 6 have been in the water industry, and 2 of those have been in the food and beverage industry. I think that's what I can share briefly. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's a good one, actually. I didn't know the IMEC was the UK certification, but that's good to know,
Okay,
though. So
sure.
I'm so excited because today I have so many people registered from Malawi, but also most of them are Kenyans, to be honest, and they're
Aha.
students,
Okay.
and they want to know,
Mm,
So we have students and also early graduates. They want to
okay.
know, okay, either I've finished my mechanical engineering degree or I'm yet to finish my mechanical engineering degree. Like, how do I prepare myself for the industry? Like, how did you do that? Like, I think you can think back and relate to how that feeling of confusion is. Like, how did you do it? Mm,
Okay. I would say maybe the first thing that you can do is to take advantage of your, if you're still a student, take advantage of your holidays where you've got the breaks and be able to find somewhere where you can do some internships. I know in some universities there is, I think the final year or the previous year you can go for internships or industrial attachments. That's mandatory, but in some places it's up to the student, so you can also use that time to get to understand things in the industry so that you can connect the theoretical part and the practical part. So that's what I can say in terms of the student, because then it prepares you for real life industrial experience. That's how I could put it. And also, just make sure that if you're in your final year, be able to look out for the job sites and be able to start applying, uh, so that you, after you're done, after you've graduated, you never know, you can have a chance to say, you know what, I think we saw your CV. Is it possible if you can come here? You know, and I'll give, probably in my case, what happened is that so in Malawi, the engineering degree is 5 years. So
mm,
in my fourth year, I went for the industrial attachments. That was at Ilovo Sugar Company. So I was there for a good 4 months, and I was able to experience the practical part of engineering, being able to see sugar being produced, being able to work on the equipment, doing the maintenance works and things like those. So that
mm,
really helped me because I got that knowledge. And as I was going to my final year, which is the fifth year, I think in all my 5 years, the final year for me was the easiest one because I was able to take the things that I learned from the industry and apply them to say, oh, so this is what we learned. So you're talking of plant maintenance, production management, things like those, energy management, all those things, because I had seen them firsthand in the
mm,
industry. It was now easy to assimilate, to say, oh, so this is where this is coming in. So that really helped me. And of course, I was also given the opportunity. So what happened is that for me to transition to the industry, we had the a certain company came and talked with our head of department, and then they say, can you bring to us 6 students? Would like to interview them. So we went there, 6 mechanical engineers, and out of those 6, I think they had to select 4 of us. I think so. So we had to undergo interviews and we asked questions. So, and there were real industry questions. Okay, they'll give you an example to say, okay, I cannot remember everything clearly, but there was a point where it wasn't just for you to say you memorize something from class. No, it was, can you apply this principle now in real life industry setting? How you do that? So it required you to critically think. So that gave me a glimpse of how the interviews go like, and by the grace of God, I was successful, and that's how I found myself in the food and beverage industry. I was working for Castel Malawi. Of course, now it's disbanded. It's Castel Malawi for the alcoholic drinks, and then there's the Coca-Cola beverages for the non-alcoholic drinks. But that time they were under one roof. So that's how I was able to transition. So I transitioned to a graduate trainee role. So I was in that role for over a year. So it was where now you are exposed to the field, and you move from department to department so that you have an idea of how everything works. So I remember the first place that I went to the syrup room, where you mix, you get the sugar and then you mix it, you put it into the water, it becomes in syrup. And there the work is manual, you've got to get the 50 kgs of sugar, you've got to pour them in the sugar hopper, from the hopper then the way into the receiver. It's a big metallic container where now the sugar was being mixed with the water to become syrup. So you probably have maybe 100 bags, 50 kg bags. You have to pour them in there to ensure that everything is mixed, Then from there, you were mixing now the syrup with the ingredients. So say if you're making Fanta or Coke, there were products or various ingredients that you had to mix, and you'd come up with that juice now. Then that juice would now go to the production line, and there were 3 things mixing as well: the juice itself, then water to dilute it, and then you also had CO2. So mainly in the syrup room now, it gave me the full picture, because that's where the work was beginning. That okay, so this is where the work begins. All the things that you drink, the Coke, the Fantas, they start in that room. So I was there for some time, and it gave me an idea. And then I moved from the syrup room. Then I went into the main line, where I was able to operate the bottling equipment. So starting from the bottle filler, the crater, the palletizer, and all other equipment. So it was, I would say, fascinating to see the equipment moving, because it was like you've got the bottles from outside, they come in, they go through the bottle washer, so they are cleaned, and then they go to the through the, we call it the EBI, where it's an inspector, empty bottles inspector. So it's able to see, is this bottle clean? Does this bottle have defects? So if it has defects, it's pushed away. If it's okay, it passes through. Then it goes into the bottle filler, where it's filled. Yes, so it's filled, and there's a particular level that the soft drink should fill. From there, it goes through the crowner, then it goes to the FBI, the Foods Bottle Inspector. And even there are sensors that have to look at the bottle, if it's okay, if the level is fine, and also if there isn't any foreign object. So if those parameters and more are not met, it's also pushed away or
Mm.
rejected. Then the bottles go through the crater where they're taken now from the conveyors. They go into the crates. From the crates now they go to the palletizer. I'm sure you've seen where the crates are stacked together, so they are put
Yeah.
on a pallet. Yeah, so that is also done with a machine, automated, to put them in a particular pattern. So I was able to learn how to operate all these equipment, and it was exciting to see everything from the beginning up to the end, to be part of the team, to be able to hit the targets. So
Yeah.
I did my time there. Then I also transitioned to the maintenance department, where
Mm.
I was working with the engineers there, and also the fitters and staff, to attend to the breakdowns, things like those. I was also planning how and scheduling uh, the maintenance works as well. So I'll put that in a nutshell, because there's a lot that I can put out there. But
Mm.
it was an exciting experience, because now it helped me to stay grounded and understand the things in the food and beverage industry. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Amazing. So, you've said so many things, but what I've caught is you're saying for me to prepare for the industry, I have to go to the industry. There is no other way. I have to go
Yeah,
to the industry. Yeah.
exactly. So I would say for those, okay, so maybe for some, they are going to have the opportunity where straight from the university they'll start working, and that's what I did. I only spent 2 weeks at home, then I started
Mm.
working. So there'll be
Mm.
some who make that transition, and then there'll also
Mm.
be some probably that will have to wait for a few more weeks or even a few more months, and
Mm.
some may even wait for a year or so. But
Mm.
generally, for them to transition, they'll have to transition either as a graduate engineer, get it into the industry, where there are programs, they call them management training programs, and they usually run
Mm.
from 1 to 3 years. So it depends per company. Normally it's 1 year or 2 years, or some big companies they go up to 3 years. And then for some, maybe they might not go through the graduate training program. Some will go the route of internships or industrial attachments, whereby, yes, you've graduated, yes, you have finished, but for you to transition, you need to undergo some internships. So the internships can be from 3 to 6 months, or even a year. That depends. And after either the graduate training program or the internship, that's when now you can get a permanent role in the same organization or company, or you can actually find another job. Just because of the experience that you've got, you can transition to get a job elsewhere. So I'll put it in those two instances. Those are the most likely scenarios where you can transition. Then, of course, I would still encourage those who are in their final year to begin applying now. And usually
Mm.
there'll be two forms
Mm.
of adverts. There'll either be management training program, or there'll be internships. And the third one, of course, can just be a normal advert, where there are some companies who I would say are very generous. They can even hire someone with zero experience. That happens, 0 to 1 or 0 to 2 years experience.
Mm.
So you should be able also to look out for such roles. But again, uh, you will get to the interviews, and you've got to demonstrate your technical understanding of the field, in this case of mechanical engineering. So you've got to know what really the core things in mechanical engineering, because you'll be asked those things, and you should be able to answer them with the also practical scenarios, because that is what the most of the interviewers are going to be looking for. This is in your early stage. Thank you.
Mm. 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 Thank you so much for that. Thank you. So, something also I had that was so different from maybe the experience of the viewers from Kenya is you see that you the industry came to, like, the companies, they approached a school to ask for the students to for students to go and interview.
Yes.
Is that like normally the case, or that was like one time?
Um, I would say partly yes, it's normally the case. There are some times when the industry goes to the universities and then they say, you know what, can you give us maybe 4 students who would like to interview them and maybe get some on board? That's an example. The other one is where now they would come and say, uh, give us students who would like to have them for internship. So the internship can be for a year or even their entire period as they are in the university. They can come as well. And some will just come and say, you know what, can you give us some? We just want to mentor them maybe for 6 months or a year, and then they'll see what they can do as they move forward, or they can get employed in the same company. But then also it's not always that case. There are also times when you still have to do the job hunting at the end of the day. So it goes both ways here in Malawi. So if you're lucky, you get taken right from the university. And sometimes also, if you're also lucky as well, you still have to wait and do the job hunting for a few weeks or months, and then you can get the job.
Okay, so I think we have covered how the school industry transition can happen, and honestly, it was so good to know how the Fantas and the Coca Colas we drink, how they come to be. you
Yeah,
know?
so indeed, and it's very
Yeah,
fascinating.
that was a bit fantastic. Yeah.
So maybe before we proceed, maybe I can also just add one thing. Normally, as you're in the
Mm,
university, you dream of, after I finish, maybe I'm going to be getting this amount of money,
yeah.
maybe 1 million shillings or
Mm,
kwaja. But it's not normally the case. It's not normally the case. So I would say, as you're
mm,
getting into the industry, don't set your sight too much on the money, but look at, okay, what experience am I going to gain? So I'll say in the first 1 to 3 years, look at getting grounded, learning the trade. Then from there, you can easily negotiate, because you can say, I need this amount of money, but then they'll say, show us your experience. So make sure that as you're getting into there, your focus mainly should be to gain the experience. If you get good money, that's good for you. If you don't get good money, I would say continue working at
mm,
it. I've been there before. Even in
mm,
my first job, I wasn't getting how much I thought I would
mm,
get. But I was there to say, you know what, I'm here for the
mm,
experience. Let me learn. And I would also add, be willing to learn from everyone. Sometimes, because we are engineers, we may
mm-hmm.
want to only relate with those who are engineers, but be able to learn from the people
Absolutely.
on the ground, the technicians, the fitters,
Mm,
all those
mm,
people, the operators. Ask those people questions, because those are the ones who know the things on the ground. So if you are humble to learn from them, you will learn a lot from those people, and they'll teach you stuff that you will value. So that's also uh, a bit what I wanted to add, that can be helpful to have that mind to be humble, to learn, and to know the trade. Yeah, that's
mm.
it.
Those are two very important points. I don't know why I was forgetting. Very important. because those are the first two things that are gonna bring you down after you graduate. Very important. But also
Exactly.
on the reducing, like lowering your expectation about what you're going to earn. It's a very big problem, engineer Mpesi, because sometimes we ask ourselves, like engineers, like there's a time people are asking themselves, like the doctors, when you
Mm,
like they get very like internships, they get like a lot of money, So I don't know
yes.
what currency this is in Malawi, but here it was like hundreds of thousands, like 100 and something thousand, and an intern doctor, and then the engineers would get like some thousands, 15 or 30,000, and then we were like, why do the engineers the ones who have to work for experience? So it was something that was very discouraging for, and still very discouraging. Like somebody would study because I think when somebody goes into engineering, they expect money. Like, I'll finish and I get the money. So first of all, we really appreciate that you've told us that we shouldn't expect it. But also, shouldn't we be asking the question, why is it that it's not there? Why is it that we have to wait so long you know, is it that the value we have after campus is not enough to pay us that good money?
Mhm. No,
Yeah.
okay. I wouldn't say so. I think it's more complex than we can think. But I would say, how sometimes organizations are structured is that, maybe this is an intern. We are not sure if they're going to be here for a long time. Things like those.
Mm,
Of course, we can also not rule out the probability of exploitation. It's also there. It's also there.
mm,
But I would say also the other part is that you have to earn it as an engineer. You have to earn it because you cannot just say, I need 1 million or 2.5 million.
mm,
Why? So you've got to show that I can do A, B, C, D. So in as much as probably there might be some exploitation, in as much as probably the company itself, based on their salary structure, may not be able to get you on board with that, but you can
mm,
also sometimes you can wait to say, if I'm here, what experience am I getting?
mm,
And then you
mm,
go with that. And
mm,
yeah, you asked the question, does that happen with other professionals here in Malawi? I think it also
mm,
happens to say, maybe some people from other professions get more
mm,
than us
mm,
engineers. Uh,
mm,
but I would say because probably there's also more work that we need to do as engineers to be heard to say, what, guys, we also need to raise our earning as well. So
mm,
yeah, because I would say that's probably across. The other thing I would say is that as engineers we are technical people. Yeah,
mm.
so sometimes in terms of the arguing or negotiating, sometimes we may not really want to do that. Sometimes, so it's also something probably we have to up our game to say, what, we should be able to negotiate. To say, once you've got the experience, you've got the value, you've got to be able to say, what, guys, I'm bringing A, B, C, D to the table, and I think this
Yeah.
might not cut it for me. Can you please put it to this level so that we can move together, be able to negotiate to that way? Because indeed, there are sometimes where some will give you a certain offer and then they expect you to negotiate for that. And
Mm,
sometimes, if you don't negotiate, they see that, okay, you're good with it, then it's like, oh, okay, cool, then he should come. So be able as well to do your research, market research, to say, okay, in this job title, or this sphere that I'm in, how are the ranges in there, and be able
mm,
to do that. Of course, in some spaces like the NGOs and the state-owned enterprises, at least they get better pay sometimes.
mm.
So there's also that. Sure.
I like that. Do your market research and also work on the negotiation skills. I think negotiation it's gonna be important either way. When you get up there as the engineer, you're the one who is going to be negotiating. But before we get to that, we have a question because you've talked about how you're supposed to be um, uh, you're going to be having interviews, of course. When you go looking for a job, they're gonna interview you to determine if you're the right candidate. So Flame Forex Traders is asking, what is a typical interview process in terms of questions asked? Is it theoretical approach, general mechanical engineering knowledge, or both?
Okay, thank you. Uh, yeah, so generally, I would put it's both. It's both, but based on my experience and the interviews that I've been to, normally at the beginning, it's more of you. Uh, you're asked to introduce yourself, who you are. Normally they would say, tell us about yourself. Normally, what they want you to explain is your uh, career. You know, your background, which field of engineering, maybe if you've worked elsewhere already, if you've done some industrial attachments, but also maybe your skills. That's what they are looking to know. And they would also ask you, why should we hire you? That's where now you have to sell yourself. That's where you capitalize on your skills now. Even though you are just a new graduate, but okay, I think I'm good in SolidWorks. I'm good in ANSYS. You can put those things there. I'm good at maybe maintenance because you are experienced to the maintenance part. I'm good in maybe designing. So you emphasize on those things. Then, of course, there'll also be some series of questions now for them to indeed understand, does this person know the thing that he's sharing with us or not? So, for instance, they can ask you types of maintenance. Then you have to be able to say, there's breakdown maintenance, there's scheduled maintenance. There are all those types of maintenances. So you should be able to say that. And then there might be times where they'll bring in now the real life industry part, where now they ask you, for instance, they would ask you what you have contributed. Okay, so you should, because I think sometimes we normally rush to say, I'm a team player, but then yes, you're a team player, but what have you done? So they can ask you that,
Yeah.
or maybe say if there is a breakdown somewhere, how would you handle that breakdown? Okay, maybe you are doing production and you don't have materials. What do you do? Maybe you were supposed to produce, say, for instance, for example, you were supposed to produce biscuits, right? But you don't have the ingredients for biscuits, but you've got the ingredients maybe for chocolate. What do you do? Do you stay to the schedule? You're flexible to go to the other part to transition. So such are some of the questions that you might get.
And what I'm hearing is really you have to. It's very important to have like we call them the people call them soft skills or the power skills, because now it's you to, there is no kind of which it's a discussion that has been there in the engineering field. Should there be some kind of um, anchor figures for, like, let's say graduate engineers, the salary starts from this point, it's not there. So it's like what you're paid is dependent on how well you can negotiate for yourself, or how well you can prove your value. That's what is anchored upon, and it brings what you're talking about earlier, which if you can't do that, then it will bring the exploitation from some companies, not all. Then the exploitation then comes in, because if you can't prove your worth to the organization, and also if you don't know the market rate, then you're literally in the blank. Like, honestly, I have to be honest, engineer, I didn't know, like, I literally didn't even know, like, what do engineers get paid, really? You really don't know what even to ask for.
Yeah,
And then the
so uh-huh.
one moment, if you go to like the Google, they will give you like the US, the Europe rates, and literally you'll be so scared to even ask it where you are. So I don't know if you don't have the data, or like maybe the associations, or the engineering associations should be able to set some anchor or something. How do you think the graduates should be able to do this? Because mostly when you're studying, you don't even think about like, how much am I going to, you just know like, I'm going to be getting some good money, but you really don't know what it is. Yeah, so how
Yeah,
can you approach that?
all right. Yeah, I would say probably the engineering institutions should be able to come in and assist on that, in trying to level the ground. Maybe they cannot say, you've got to get from this to this, but maybe they can try to bring in the minimum earning to say, we expect a graduate engineer to get this amount of money. We expect maybe someone who is advanced to get this amount of money. I think that helps, though it's something probably that the industry needs to talk about. But in the interim, I would say it's also good where now the graduate engineers should be in contact with the engineers who are already advanced in the industry, in terms of course, that would be part of networking and part of mentorship, but also through that experience, that's where maybe they can ask those questions to say, what, there's this job offer, they've given me this amount of money. Is
Mm.
this okay or not? Or I'm
Yeah.
going for a certain job offer. How
Yeah.
do you think maybe I can pick myself? Because I've even had people, some engineers come to me as well. Then they share with me, okay, there's this job offer somewhere. They've offered me
Mm.
this. Can you advise me? So that way you are safer. So it's important that we utilize the engineering conferences that happen for IEK, even for MEI, even
Mm.
use the LinkedIn to connect with other engineers to be able to learn from them as
Mm.
well. In the meantime, I think that's the low hanging fruit that I can say is reachable, to be able to reach out to say, what,
Mm.
there's this, or I'm looking for these opportunities. Can you advise me in terms of the earnings, even in terms of the experiences? How can I go about it? Yeah, I
Mm.
think
Mm.
that's how I'll put
So
it.
mentorship. Okay. Okay. So I'm getting mentorship, which we'll talk about in a bit. But now,
Yes.
if today, and a graduate or a student comes to you and tell you, Engineer Cornelius, I've finished my school. I want to start looking for graduate trainee roles. How much should I ask for? What figure will you tell them?
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy, I would say so, because it also depends the company where you're going at. Because again, the other part is that each organization or each company has got their own salary structure, unfortunately. So that's also something that we have to be aware of. So it might really be difficult to put a figure to it, but I would say it should be something that covers you basically, in terms of, okay, you've got to go to work, you're talking of transportation, you're talking of having a roof over your head, you're talking of feeding yourself, you're talking of getting your necessities and maybe being able to assist a few of your family and also save up something. It should, after you do your calculations, it should come out to something like that, but it will be difficult for me to put a figure with this one. So yeah.
No, you should give us a figure. Really, you should give us even like maybe it can be like in your opinion. Maybe just like me as engineer Mpesi, you guys are start here. Of course, you've already given us the caveat. Like, just know it's dependent on the salary structure of the organization, but you should be able to start at this point. This is good, and this one will be like like no matter the organization, if you get this amount, that's exploitation.
Yeah, okay. So for anyway, for other things, I think I should not say the amount. Yes. Please be.
Okay, so we can DM you though.
Yes, yes, yes.
We can DM you for the amount.
What? Come again?
Okay, so there you go, guys. We can DM you. We can send you emails or personal
Ex-
consultations though.
Exactly. Yeah, because the other things that come, yes. So yeah, me, I think it's fine. Yeah, we can talk about it.
Mm, mm. So guys, you've had. You just look for Engineer Percy Cornelius on LinkedIn. You can DM him and ask him about the price, the starting price, or whatever questions you have. So we before we move to the next stage, we have one other question. How long did the process of becoming a professional engineer take after graduation, and what advantage?
Okay.
So I think this one comes not really at the transition, but now this is probably for a graduate engineer. Like you've already you're practicing, but now you're wondering like what's the process of becoming a professional engineer? Like how long does it take? Plus, I think that people who don't know, students might not even know that they need to become professional engineers. I didn't know until I graduated.
Okay.
So maybe you can just answer him directly, and then we can move now to the next part.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So this is a broad subject, but I'll be as brief. So
Mm,
generally, you need at least between 2 to 5 years to become a professional engineer. but I'll
Mm,
put as an average is 3 years. So you need 3 years to become a professional engineer, and through that 3 years, whether it's in Kenya, even in Malawi, you are assigned a mentor, who
mm,
guides you through the process. And through that mentorship period, you write some reports where the mentor
mm,
reviews. And after that 2 to 3 years, if the mentor is satisfied that you have attained the required knowledge to the level of professional engineer, then you can undergo the interviews. So usually there are two parts. There is the oral exam, and then there's
mm,
also the written exam. But
mm,
basically, you are asked things that you have done, and they are just trying to find out, are you really a professional engineer at the end of the day? Because also, after you become a professional engineer, it means you are claiming liability. So if you have
mm.
designed something wrongly, that's on you. So it's like you're telling
Yeah.
the world, you know what, I'm to be
Mm,
trusted. So that's why you go through that mentorship period. And yeah, I would encourage those who are not professional engineers to become professional engineers. And also,
mm,
the other thing is that you add, another name to your name. So you become engineer, so. Okay,
mm,
so that sounds good, but also it also shows your commitment to the profession as well, that you are committed to growing. So I think let me stop there, but it's a big topic on its own. But I would
mm,
encourage
mm,
all those who've just graduated and those who have not yet registered as professional engineers, or you are at the graduate level. If you've got your mentor, that's good. You can fast track it. If you haven't yet started, get registered as a graduate engineer, find a mentor, then get registered as a professional engineer.
mm. And then, okay, Sam, I think Sam's question had two parts. There's also the part where he's asking, what advice would you give an engineer at this stage? Like, probably looking back since you're registered already, like, it's a bit not specific, but maybe you have something in mind.
Okay. Yeah, I think at the end of, I would advise maybe is that through your entire career, be able to uh, keep record of the things that you're doing.
Mm,
Yes, there are times where you have to write reports to submit to your supervisors, but also you can also write some things just for your own learning and growth, so that
mm,
after a few years you can look back to it to say, okay, so there's this, and you can even refer to that in your later stages, because you have the foundational work. So I would say, remember to always document your work.
mm. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And speaking of documentation, I was actually thinking about it because now you see engineers actually doing documentation, but on social media. I
Come
don't know if you've
again?
noticed. I noticed nowadays engineers they do the documentation, but on social media.
Okay,
Like
yes,
you'd see
yes,
it on LinkedIn, on TikTok. Like I was able to learn this, I was able to do this, I was able to. Yeah, I've really seen a lot of that nowadays. Mm,
yeah, yeah. I think that's also a good way, as long as you also have a backup somewhere. It still
mm,
helps as well. Yeah, so it
mm.
it doesn't matter whichever way you decide, but as long as you're able to document it, I think it helps.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, so I think we've talked about so much about how to prepare for yourself for the industry. Engineer Cornelius is telling us the only way to do it is to go to the industry, look for attachments when you're still in school, internships, have connect with the engineers already there so they can guide you, you can ask them whatever questions you have. Um, he has also talked about how to prepare yourself, what to expect out there. Don't expect, high figures, though you need to be able to communicate your worth to the employers. Every industry has their own salary structures. I don't know if I've forgotten any other thing. Be humble and be able to learn from anyone. Literally, I think that's the hardest.
Yes,
That's the
that is
toughest, but you need to humble yourself and be able to learn from the technicians, everyone you find there. Yeah. Okay,
exactly.
that was fantastic. That was amazing. I think now we're ready to move to the next step, which is the career paths. So you talked about when you started, when you're introducing yourself, you talked of food and beverage, which I'm thinking is one of the career paths you have for mechanical engineering. So maybe we can talk about now all of them. Like I can go into this and this and this and this and this and this. This is what is available to you. Maybe depending on one's interest, they can be able to start thinking maybe this is the direction I want to go. So you
Okay,
can walk us.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fine. So I think I'll put it in two parts. Firstly, I'll talk about the job titles, and then I'll move to what you've said, Marion, in terms of the industries like food and beverage, the manufacturing, the automobile industries, yeah, and stuff. So I'll go first with the job titles, and these job titles can apply in any industry. So they are, I'll put them six. So the first one is design, where you can work as a design engineer. You can work
Mm,
as a mechanical design engineer or even as a product design engineer. So this is where now you are doing the conceptualization. Say, for instance, maybe
mm,
there's a product somewhere that you have to design. Say, for
mm.
instance, you are working for a toy factory somewhere. So you are
Yeah.
supposed to design a toy. So you use maybe SolidWorks or Solid Edge or AutoCAD, to come up with that. Or maybe you are
Mm,
working for a company that puts structures or billboards around, and then you have to sit down to do some calculations and also to choose the types of steel members to use, things like those. So that's where you come in as a design engineer, or even to modify. That sometimes you are in the factory, there are some parts that you may not get brought, but you can manufacture in there through the process of precision engineering. So you sit down, and maybe you use various manufacturing processes to come up with that part. So that's where you can come in as a design engineer or in the sphere of design. And then I'll move on to maintenance. Yeah.
mm,
So this also covers broadly. You are there to come in when things break down or even before things break down. So you should be able to anticipate. That's where you've got the maintenance schedules. You have to move around with the equipment to see at what level, of
mm,
um, breaking maybe the machine is at, and things like those, and also to have the blind maintenances. So you can make as a maintenance engineer, maintenance manager, plant engineer as well, and there are also other things like maintenance planner. So
mm,
it's also reliability engineer as well comes into that. Then
mm.
also, before I move on to the third one, I'd say there's some people who think design is more important. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you've got to bring something new into the world. Yeah,
Mm,
that's true. Design is important, but also there are some who actually downplay the efforts of maintenance. But
mm,
designing is one thing, but also sustaining that equipment, that machinery for its lifetime, is also another thing. So it needs you as well also to apply the principles, to think as well, to say, how best can we remove, maybe this problem that keeps on recurring. So design is important and also maintenance is important. So both of these are important to a life of an equipment or a structure. You need both of these things, and none is greater than the other. So I just wanted to emphasize on that. Then I'll
mm,
move on to production. This is where now you are now in the main line. You're managing the things there. Maybe you are producing paints, maybe you are producing steels, maybe you are producing tobacco, things like those, or even
mm,
drinks. So you can work as a production engineer, packaging engineer, processing engineer, all those, or even processing manager. And from the maintenance and also the production, you can even go up to become a factory manager or even an engineering
mm,
manager as well. So
mm,
it's in those spheres as well, and even become a director of engineering as well. So those are the paths. So I've talked of design, maintenance, production. So now I'm moving into project management. Project
mm,
management is more of interdisciplinary, because you are working with people from different fields. So you end up working with civils, you end up working with electricals, maybe chemical engineers, quantity surveyors, people from various fields. So it's interdisciplinary, but the core thing there is that it's more of project management. So you may end up combining maybe the design aspect, the maintenance, even the production, even the quality itself. So you can work as a projects manager, projects engineer, in those spaces. Then there is output. That's number 4, right? So I'll go
Yeah.
to the 5th one, which is the quality and safety. So in quality, you can work as a quality assurance engineer, or an inspector of works. You are there, you're seeing how the work is being done. You come and you inspect, you guide the people, you have to do ABCD. And you can also work as a safety engineer as well. So you ensure that people are safe as they work, even if it's in the factory or out there, but people should be safe. And the last one that I'll put is sales engineering. It doesn't sound like engineering, but it's engineering. And yeah, where now, there is already an established profession, sales officer, sales manager. But now the sales engineer is bringing in the combination of engineering and marketing. So you go to clients, but you have the engineering knowledge and you're able to explain to them and sell to them the product, to say, you know what, guys, maybe there is this pump, maybe there is this equipment that you can use, maybe there's this air conditioner that you can use, it does A, B, C, D. You're selling it to them, but also it helps because maybe there sometimes you can also do the servicing as well. So yeah, that's how I put it, that you've got design, you've got maintenance, you've got production, you've got
Yes.
project management, you've got quality and safety, and then you also have got sales. So your job titles can revolve around this. Of course, this is not an exhaustive list, but so these 6 areas that I've mentioned now can fit anywhere into the industries that we're going to tackle. So maybe before I transition,
That was a
yeah,
great way of putting it. That was that was a great way of putting it. Like before you tell me I'm going
thank you.
to beverage, food and beverage, like I already know like this is the kind of engineer like I could be. So thank you so much for that.
All right,
Thank
great,
you.
thank you. Yeah, so we can transition.
Yes, please.
Okay, so yeah, maybe I may not be able to say every company, but I think as we get into the industries, I think it's going to help someone to have an idea to say, oh, so this is where this company falls in. Yeah. So I'll begin with the most one that is misunderstood by us, by other people, not us. The moment someone says that mechanical engineer, they always think, this person fixes vehicles. That's what they
Oh,
think. This one, he fixes vehicles. But
oh yes.
there is more to that. So I'll begin with that field. But maybe before I get to that, I'd also say, yeah, there's mechanical engineering here, and then there are also some, I'll put it, some branches of mechanical engineering. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's mechanical engineering as the overarching, where anyone can study that. But then I think with time also, there have been other branches that have actually been coming out of mechanical engineering to emphasize maybe on a particular field. Like I'll put example, automobile engineering, which is now just focusing on vehicles, maybe, and the locomotives, things like those. Then you've got the energy engineering, which is now focused on now the energy itself, power generation, things like those. Then you've got industrial engineering now, where you come in to optimize things. And then also, though it can be the same, but there's also manufacturing. So sometimes they go hand in hand with industrial engineering, sometimes it's separate as well. There's also manufacturing engineering, where now the focus now is actually on the manufacturing itself, improving the
mm,
processes. But
mm,
manufacturing and industrial share most of the, I would say, the core principles. And then,
mm,
of course, I would also bring in mechatronics, where you're combining mechanical,
mm,
electrical, electronics,
mm,
and control systems.
mm,
You're combining all that to uh, bring also mechatronics. So now
mm,
I can transition to the industries now. So as I said, most people, if you tell them I'm a mechanical engineer, the first thing they think of is, so you fix vehicles, or you
that's right.
design vehicles.
Mm,
So, but it's not the only thing that mechanical engineers do. Yeah. So the
mm-hmm,
first industry that I'll share is the automotive industry, where everyone knows that you're spend your time either designing vehicles or vehicle parts, or you spend your time fixing vehicles, or you
mm,
can be leading people in fixing vehicles, whether it's in in the workshops or even in the factories where you are assembling. At the moment, I think we also have another type of vehicles coming in, which is the electrical vehicles as well. So all that comes in into that space. So I'll not say much on this because most people already know what mechanical engineers do in there. But I'd also add that these also are able to help in maintaining and fixing also the engines as well, the generators, and also the turbines as well. So all that comes into the automotive. Then from there, we'll move also to aerospace engineering, where now you focus on aircrafts. So you can be in there, you work as an aircraft engineer, maintenance engineer, because your aim now is to ensure that the aircraft is ready or is fit for takeoff, things like that. So you can do design in there, or you can do maintenance work as well. I Okay, probably Marion is
mm.
joining soon. Okay, you are here, right?
I'm here. I've been hearing throughout.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah,
Mm,
so I've shared on automotive firstly, and then I've also shared in aerospace. Now we are moving
mm,
down. So from there now we can look at the food and beverage
yeah.
industry, where now
Mm,
maybe you're talking of soft drinks,
mm,
you're talking of producing biscuits, you're talking of producing chocolate, you're talking of producing sugar, or
mm,
I'd also put it as value addition. So any product that you can think of, you're adding the value. Now mainly this I'm focusing on the food part. So you've taken it as
mm,
a raw material, now you want to have a finished product. Maybe you're talking of getting maybe mangoes, and
mm,
having them dried so that you can eat them out of season. Okay,
mm,
you're yeah. So that's the food industry where you are focused on that, or maybe coming up with juices, uh, things like those, even like milk as well, producing milk as a dairy
mm,
product, or even yogurt. Yeah, so
mm,
that's also a field where, as a mechanical
mm,
engineer, you can work in. So, as I said, in terms of the job titles, so you're talking of being a production engineer, maintenance engineer, plant engineer, plant manager, factory manager, engineering
mm,
manager. So, I would say in the food, it's many of those two spaces where now you are looking at either making sure that if you're maintenance, making sure that things are up and running, and making sure that
mm,
equipment or the machinery does not fail unnecessarily. Of course, there are times when things happen in the industry, you have a big breakdown, but you've got to make sure that you have planned everything, you've got your spares in place, things like
mm,
those. And again, on the production part, it's also looking at having all the raw materials available, because there are times when maybe you've ordered everything, but because of external factors, you have not received a few things. What do you do? So you look at all those things, and maybe you should be flexible. So that's the food and beverage industry. Then we can also move to the tobacco industry. I think it's also a big industry where
Okay.
the things are not different from the job titles that I shared, but now it's now a focus on now processing the tobacco itself from a raw material to a finished product, and you can export those, or you can have various products that people can get from that. So that's also an industry that people can work in. Then you're talking of healthcare. You can be in healthcare where, of course, we have a branch called biomedical engineering, but also mechanical engineers can also work in healthcare, mainly in the maintenance part, even in the product design as well, coming in because of their CAD experience, the computer aided design experience. They can come in and help to design prosthetics and other, various equipment that is helpful to the biomedical industry. Yeah, so we've mentioned that. Then also there is, I'll put something that is, it's broad but has a lot of things like the manufacturing itself. So even the food is part of the manufacturing, the tobacco is part of the manufacturing, but sometimes you can separate it because of how big it is. So, but also the manufacturing itself, there are also other things where you're talking of manufacturing medicine itself. You're talking of paracetamols and all those kind of things to help people, and you're talking of even manufacturing paints, the things that we use to paint our houses and stuff. You're talking of even manufacturing equipment, various types of equipment, whether it's, you're talking of engines, you're talking of maybe toasters, cookers, things like those. Of course, you also have other people from other fields coming in, but it's a space where mechanical engineers can also work in the manufacturing space, where you can manufacture literally anything that you can think of. Then we can also go to the steel industry, where now you focus now, you're there to bring in steels, various type of steels. You're talking of angle iron, you're talking of rectangular hollow sections, you're talking of I sections, bringing them there, but according to standards that are there, because you just don't want to bring any type of equipment. So that's where also maybe the materials engineers can come in, and also, yeah, the metallurgists also can come in there. But it's that's it. And we can also move to mining as well. The industry as well also needs engineers as well, because there are equipment there that need you to go and fix to ensure that the plant is up and running. Yeah, and I also go into the timber industry or the wood industry, where now you are supposed to process the timber in various forms. You want it maybe to just be frames only. You want it to be various things, tables. You're talking of chairs and furniture. All that needs the timber itself. Then there's also part of the utilities, the power industry. You can get into the power industry and then you work there. I think we in Kenya, you're talking of Kengen, Kenya Power, Ketraco. That's what is there. And in Malawi, you're talking of Ejenco and ESCOM. So you are there, you can work as a mechanical engineer in there, as a plant engineer, and then you can rise up, even to the point of becoming CEO as well. There are others who become CEOs, even just being a mechanical engineer, being a CEO of a power company. Then there's
Thank you for saying
also, yeah, then there's also the issue of water. That's also where I'm from as well, the water industry. You can also
Yes.
be an engineer, a mechanical engineer can also work in the water industry. So there are also various sides to it. You can be in the design, you can be in the maintenance, you can also be in the production, and also even in the the projects as well. So I would say uh, those are some of the industries. Of course, there is a bigger list, but I should not forget also another area:
Mm.
oil and gas. Oil and
Mm.
gas
Okay.
industries, where we have to refuel, do that. You also have engineers in that space as well. So, and I would also put there is building services, or
Mm.
sometimes it can be related to the HVAC, heat, ventilation, and air conditioning systems, where now you're more interested into the buildings providing the heating systems, the ventilations, the air conditioning, maybe the chillers, the geysers, things like those. So that's also where you can come in as mechanical engineers. Yeah, I think so. Again, the list is not exhaustive. There are many areas, but
Mm.
I'm just sharing to shed more light so that
Mm.
maybe people can have an idea to say, oh, okay, so with the
Mm.
job titles that I shared and with
Mm.
these industries, oh, okay, so I think I can work in this place and that place. So I would
Mm.
put it, and also maybe I can also just add there is the academia as well. Yeah, you
Oh,
can, yes, you can
very
go to,
important.
yes, go back and help
Mm.
to nurture, to teach and grow other engineers as well. So you can become a lecturer in there with your experience and you teach others as well. And also, maybe this is just an overarching on the design as well. There's an element also to do with research and design, where maybe you can be, it's in the company or not, but you're there to see, okay, this product, let's study it. Is this really what people need? Is it really bringing out what we intended to bring? So there's also that element of research and design. So generally, this just covers either if it's a company or it's an NGO or it's even a consulting firm. So it can fall in any of these industries and others that I have not mentioned, but this should be able to give you a picture to say, okay, so I think with what I'm doing, I think I can fall into this industry. So I would also add to say, sometimes you find if you've begun your journey in a certain industry, sometimes it's more likely that you will maintain it. So you found yourself in the food and
Mm.
beverage industry, in the manufacturing industry, in the power industry, you find yourself in the
Mm.
automotive industry. Sometimes you can maintain it. And then there are also sometimes where you say, you know what, I think I've seen enough of the food. Maybe let me go into the
Mm.
electricity, the power. So there's also that opportunity where you can uh, some people put it as pivoting, jumping from this industry to that industry, because there are some differences at the end of the day that still come in. Because uh, say for example you were in the manufacturing space where it's more of production, things like those. Now you're moving into the power, where now you will now
Mm.
be
Mm.
focusing on the electricity. That's a shift where you should be ready to
Mm.
to know that, okay,
Mm.
if I'm making this shift, I should be ready also to
Mm.
uh, school myself and teach myself also in these areas, in as much as there are some things that are the same, but there are also other differences that you need to grow in. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Mm. Mm. Thank you so much for that. And that will bring us in our next discussion on skills. But there's something that's surprising, even though I'm not in mechanical. I didn't expect you to mention biomedical, mechatronics, and mining. I thought those are like engineering fields on their own. So is
Yeah.
it that a mechanical engineer can work in those areas, or is it kind of like a collaborative relationship?
Okay, I would say it's both. It's both.
Mm.
Yeah, a mechanical engineer can work in those as themselves, that they are working as a biomedical engineer, they're working as a mechatronics engineer, they're working as a mining engineer, but also there are times when now they can work together with the specific people. So say you're a mechanical engineer and you're working with a biomedical engineer. You're a mechanical engineer and then you're working with a mining engineer. But then I would say a mechanical engineer can be able to fit into that as well.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's a
Okay.
possibility indeed. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, and I'd also maybe add that having heard the job titles and the industries, don't limit yourself as a mechanical engineer, because I would share that back in college, you'd be learning things like electrical technology, electrical
Mm.
science, maybe civil
Mm.
technology, and then you go like, these are for civils, these are for electricals. But
Mm.
the reason is that as you come in the industry, you are not in your own space or your own hole. You work with others, and it's important that you are aware that, okay, so this is what the electrical engineer does. At least
Mm.
have some basic knowledge of that. Have some basic knowledge of civil engineering. It helps you
Mm.
because there'll be a point where you're supposed to supervise someone doing electrical, someone doing civil. So if you shun away to say, I'm purely mechanical, this is not for me, you're
Mm.
going to be limited. So this is also going to those students. You're learning things that are not mechanical engineering per se, but the
Mm.
engineering, be open to them. They are going to open you to opportunities. I can share, for instance, I think in my second year we were learning programming, you know, and I think we did it for a semester.
Mm.
But for somebody, you'd say, programming, that's for computer engineers or even
Science,
electrical
yeah.
engineers.
Mm.
That's not for
Mm.
me. But programming can help you. We have an emerging thing now, machine learning. So you can use
Yeah.
that even in your field. So be open to that. Don't limit yourself. Even if you're already an engineer now, don't limit yourself to say, what, this is not my field. Be able to learn, because as a mechanical engineer, you find yourself in other spaces where you are a team leader leading other engineers.
Mm.
So how can you lead others when you do not understand? So you also have to have that. So
Okay.
thank
That's
you.
actually that's actually very true. And when you talked of like the mechanical engineers they should expect to grow to be CEOs and CEOs and the likes, you're going to be leading like all kinds of people, not just mechanical engineers. And yeah, you're gonna be leading all kinds of engineers and also other fields. So that's actually very important. Or not
Sure.
limiting yourself. And some
Exactly.
other thing that I wanted you to also like shed light on, um, because I was getting, I think last week, a question like when you're going to campus, now this is when before you join the mechanical engineering school. So should you study mechanical engineering or should you study mechatronics engineering? Because you brought it in mechanical engineering. Like, what's the difference? Like, what does the two lead you? Like, the two people graduating from one from mechanical, the other from mechatronics. What differentiates these two courses?
Okay. So I think mechanical, I think is what we've been discussing all along, where you are focusing more on the principles of force, energy, and motion
Mm.
to mechanical systems. Now, what mechatronics does is that it does not only expose you to mechanical engineering, it
Mm.
brings in other fields as well. So you've got mechanical engineering, of course, you've got
Mm.
electrical, you've got a bit of computer engineering, and then you've got a bit of
Mm.
control systems. So um, at the end of it all, it just depends on uh, what do you want to do at the end of the day, because for mechatronics, I would say, has an upper hand working in jobs that require mechanical and electrical knowledge, or the yeah,
Mm.
that type of
Okay.
combination. So even you can work as an automation engineer, as an instrumentation engineer, yeah, things like those, where you are able to combine that.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Thank.
it still comes into say, which path am I willing to take? Number one. Number
Mm,
two, for mechatronics, you are combining these two elements, and
mm,
so you be yeah you can work with the systems, control systems, things like those. You're coming in to combine maybe uh, uh, on the say on an equipment, you are
mm,
combining the mechanical part as well, but you can also do the electronics part as well. So
mm.
that's that.
Okay.
But also now coming to the mechanical part, I would say maybe it's broader, even though it doesn't bring in the elements of mechatronics, but it's broader that it can open you up to all those possibilities.
Mm,
Yeah, that's
okay.
how to explain it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that clarification. And one last question, just because I was so shocked by the way. No, first of all, I was so glad to know like you guys are involved in producing steel and I sections and H sections because that's what I understood in all this talk. It was so exciting. Like I never thought, like when I thought of mechanical, yes, I thought of the vehicles and I thought of the MEP engineers. But the
Mm.
steel, oh my God. So exciting
Yeah.
to learn. Yeah, so exciting to learn. And also timber, like what you guys do with timber though.
Okay, so timber, you have to process it. Like, okay, say for instance, you have, I would say, what, a tree farm where you've got
Mm,
those trees. Now you've got to process it to take it from the field. It has to be cut, and it has to be well prepared. So you remove all those branches. It's one round whole big thing. Then you can also turn it into wood frames. So those wood frames can be prepared so that they can become frames of various structures like houses. There are even some structures that are actually made out of wood themselves. Some will
mm,
be processed into plywood. you know some will be processed into other materials that can be used to make tables, furniture, things like those. So all that is covered under the timber itself.
Very good to learn that though. So I'm going to bring on the questions. I think there are two.
Okay.
Before now we
Right.
go to like specific companies. So the first one is from Flame asking which field of mechanical engineering needs more experts globally? Is it manufacturing, energy, automotive, transportation?
Okay. That's a tough one. But mhm, I'll put for okay, globally I think yes, we need the manufacturing. We need manufacturing so that we should be able to even as we zero in even into Africa as a whole as well. I think there's a lot of untapped potential as well for us to grow into that industry. So I would say generally, yeah, we need to go into manufacturing. Of course, also I would still talk of energy as well. We need that because we still have some parts where we don't have full coverage of the provision of energy. So we need that as well. So I think I'll go with those two, manufacturing and energy, because I know for the automotive, it's a big industry globally,
Mm,
but
mm,
probably we also need that in Africa as well. So yeah, that's what
mm.
I'd say.
Okay, okay, thank you. So I hope your question is answered, Flame. The second one is a comment. Emmanuel is saying, I can hear you, sir. Thanks for the knowledge shared. Thank
Right,
you,
thank you.
Emmanuel. Then we have Sam asking, is as an engineer, is it really necessary to have hand-on skill or the theoretical knowledge is enough? I think Sam is taking us to the next point of our discussion. Sam, that's the
Yeah,
next point of our discussion. So before we go to
great.
this, just hold on. Engineer Mpesi is going to answer this one in the next part of the discussion. So I think before now we go to the skills, there was the part where we need to kind of just know like, okay, of course you can't name all the organizations. You literally can't name all of them. But
Yeah,
just a
okay.
of your head, what you can think of. And you told me there's a time you were in Kenya, and probably you've worked in other parts of the world. So whichever ones that can come off the top of your head, maybe you can just walk us through. You can tell us in beverage, Coca-Cola, you mentioned Coca-Cola, and then on these are this, and on this and this. Yeah.
Okay. Let me start with yes, because I started in the food. So let me start with Coca-Cola. Yeah, the Coca-Cola company. Yeah, that's an
Mm,
example. We have it in Malawi as well. So I'm 100% sure it's also there in Kenya. Yeah, so
mm,
that's one of the places that you can work. So you'll be there in the soft drinks industry. And then, of course, under the same, I'll combine the food industry and also the manufacturing. These guys, the KHS,
mm,
they manufacture bottling equipment. They're based in Kenya, but they move around as well to fix equipment. They've also been before here in Malawi to help
mm,
in the fixing of the equipment. Uh, there is yeah, there is that. Then I would also move to the power companies. So as I
mm,
said before, Kengen,
mm,
Kenya Power, Ketraco,
mm,
and
mm,
for the sake of those in Malawi, we've got Ejenko and Descom.
mm,
Um, yeah, then of course, I'll put also the automotive industry, where
mm,
I don't know if you've got maybe companies like Ford in there or even
mm, mm.
Sifao in there as well.
I was
Yeah,
actually laughing because I was expecting you to start with Toyota.
of course. Yes. Yeah, there's Toyota as well. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. So
Mm,
Toyota, Ford, Sifao,
mm,
uh yeah, I think those kind and also others. Maybe the Isuzus,
mm,
the BMWs, yeah, Volkswagens. Uh, then I would move to there was a certain one that came in. There was a certain one. There was a certain one. Anyway, I think I'll remember
mm.
as we go. So those are some of the companies. Let's see what other companies there. Mm, okay, of course, I'm not sure of the names of the water companies in Kenya.
Mm. So water
Yeah,
companies. So like, yeah, the Kenyan ones, they are. I think they are the ones that are related to the government. So you have them
mhm.
in every county. So we have the water companies. I think we can note that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the water companies, and here we're
Yeah.
talking
So
of the
in
water
Kenya
boards.
is actually
Uh-huh.
yeah. What I
Go
wanted to
on.
say is
Yes.
that in Kenya, every count. What I wanted to add is in Kenya they're in the counties. So you have like if you're in Nairobi, Nairobi Waterworks, Athi Waterworks, like that. So I think they have understood.
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Mm,
there's
mm,
also uh, the clothing industry. Yeah.
mm,
I'm sure there you have Waikiki. Yeah.
mm. Mhm,
LC Waikiki. Yeah. So that's also a
mm,
part where you can also work. As an engineer in there. Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out. Okay. Let's see. Which other one? Okay, maybe I may also have skipped the railway industry as well.
mm,
Yes, mechanical engineers can also work in there. Yeah, so you're talking of they are parts of the of the design can work there. The maintenance as well can come in, to
mm.
assist with the permanent way, I think, as they call it. So there's also that as well. Uh, I don't know which company there handles the railway in Kenya.
So is it the one that is it? So do you work for the people who manufacture the parts of a train, or oh yeah, you can also work
Uh,
for the company that runs the railway for maintenance.
exactly. Yeah,
Hmm.
both of
Okay.
that. Yeah, yeah, both
Mm.
of that works. Yeah, I think those are the ones that I would put at the top of my head at the moment. Yes.
So, when you're talking of this, I was thinking to myself, uh, do you have like mechanical consulting firms,
Yes.
or it's
Yeah.
mostly like
So
just?
okay, probably yeah. I had mentioned that you can either work in the companies, NGOs, and the consultancy firms. So they are there as well that are available. That can work on various things. So you're talking of
Mm,
like the building services. You're talking of maybe uh, doing even the in, okay in terms of the steels as well. Even in terms of the food production, coming in as a consultant to say, you know what, if you want to have your factory set up, you have to do A, B, C, D, things like those. Some can even come in as services engineers, where now your equipment has broken down, they just come in, they fix, and then they're out.
mm.
Yeah,
Fantastic. I think we've learned so much. Can you believe it's been like 1 hour? Almost 30 minutes.
yeah,
So for the next half hour, we'll go to the skills. I think that's what people are waiting for. What skills should they have? In some already asked the question, do I need the hands-on skill? I don't know if he meant hands-on skills, like I really don't know, but you know better. So we're talking of
yeah.
skills. What skills do I have? I think the softwares will come in there and all that. So please walk us through the skills that we need as mechanical engineers. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So the first one that I'll put is, as an engineer, regardless of whatever field you are in,
Mm,
generally an engineer is a solution provider. You bring a solution to a problem. So you have to be a problem solver. That has to be demonstrated. So I would also
mm.
respond to the question. I've just forgotten the person, but they were asking whether they just
Some.
need theoretical,
Some.
some. Okay. And hands-on.
Mm.
Hands-on for an engineer, and most especially for a mechanical engineer, you need hands-on because you'll be leading people. How do you guide the
Mm.
technician to say, can you fix there when you do not know what needs to be fixed? So I always advocate that you've got to combine the theoretical knowledge and the practical knowledge to come together and make sense, right? Because
Mm.
uh, in college, I would say most of the things that we learn are more theoretical. Yes, we have some practicals, but you find that you are sharp theoretically. So in your early years of the industry, from your first to your third year, that's where now you have to get grounded to understand the principles in the field that you are in. So that's where you have to get your hands dirty. They literally have to be dirty. So in those early stages, be willing to work with the teams on the ground, whether it's the technicians, the operators. Get your hands dirty. I remember when I went to for the industrial attachments. So
Mm.
fortunate enough, I went to where my sister was working, and then she told me that my friend, here you are not an engineer here. Here you you are what, an assistant or a boy,
Mm.
Eh,
Mm.
eh, yeah. So, but what she was trying to say was that don't come here with your pomp to say, you know what, I'm an engineer. No, come here to learn, so that from there, when you learn, your experience will speak of on its own to say, you know what, this guy knows what he's doing. So I would encourage you that hands-on knowledge is very important because as an engineer, you are there to provide solutions. So someone will call you even in the middle of the night. There's this problem. What should we do? But because you experience, you tell them, can you try A, B, C, D? If that fails, try E and G. You're doing that because you are knowledgeable of what you're actually doing. So even if you have your eyes closed, you can be able to say, you know what, touch this and that,
Mm.
and you have it fixed. So it's important for you to have hands-on knowledge, at least know how the thing works, because there are times when the technician can come and tell you, there's this part that is missing, but you don't know the part. How are you going to assist them? So, and even for you to speak the same language with those you are leading, you at least have to have an idea of what is happening. So, uh, there'll be times when you learn from them. There'll be times when you have to do your own research, get books, use the internet, use YouTube, get to know things, how they work. And that is going to help you to be a good problem solver, and you'll be able to
Mm,
lead your team well because uh, people, are unwilling to be led by those who don't know what they're doing, because they're going, he doesn't even know what he's doing, and most of the time, if you don't have that hands-on knowledge, they'll say, this person just knows the theoretical part, but we are not able to communicate with him on the practical part. So I would say the hands-on is very important. So you need to have the hands-on because it helps you to become a good problem solver. Because at the end of the day, as an engineer, whether in whatever capacity, you are there to provide solutions. So you have to provide.
mm,
You cannot provide solutions to things that you do not know. So you have to educate yourself. So also the other thing I should add is in the university they will not teach you everything. So as an engineer,
mm,
you are committing to long life learning. You need to continue growing. Even when you become a professional engineer, you need to continue
mm.
learning because things are changing,
Absolutely.
things are changing day by day. So if you stay stagnant, you have realized that 5, 10 years has passed by and you're still the same, but the world has, moved ahead. So you have to keep up to date with the trends that are happening in the industry. So you've got to be a good problem solver. Did I move on?
Mm,
All right, great.
yeah.
Then
That's
there's
good.
also
That
an
that is
element.
very important actually. Uh, like the part where you have to keep learning. Like you're not, sometimes there is this notion like we tend to think like when I'm done with campus, like I'm good, I know it. But I'm so glad you already told us to humble ourselves when we got out there.
Yeah,
The students here are so lucky. They're so lucky. No one told us these
yeah,
things. They're so lucky to
they
hear
did.
this. So they
Okay,
go out there prepared. Yeah, you go learn from everyone. I mean, it's gonna take just a few like months or years to to have a grasp of everything. Yeah, thank you
yeah,
so much for that. So we can continue.
thank you. Okay, so
Mm,
the other part I would put is in leadership.
mm,
So as an engineer, you're also a leader. You have to lead. So you are leading on this knowledge that you already have as a technical person, but you also have to lead by example in the things that you do. Okay, as an engineer, you cannot expect the team that you are leading. You go at work at 9, but you start at half 7. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't. So you've got to be a good leader. You've got to listen to your team. So at the end of the day, you are not leading machines, you are leading people. So you've got to know your team well, know their strengths, know how you can motivate them. So, and also that leads me, I think I'll combine them with good people management. That's another element where, as an engineer, you're not just going to be
mm,
designing, maintaining, doing things. No, you'll be working with people. So you have to have good people management skills. Be able to manage the people that you are leading. So I've emphasized that you are a leader, not a manager, but you are a leader. So you have
mm,
to be aware of that skill that you're a leader and you have to have good people management skills, be able to talk with your team. If there's an issue, sit down with the person, be able to coach them, mentor them to say, you know what, next time maybe do ABCD. Where the team has done well, be able to commend them. I know this is good. Where also I'll add, sometimes you may not know everything. Be open to your team to say, guys, there's this. What do you think?
mm,
Involve your team so that the thing should be a team effort, not an individual's effort. But a team effort helps because everyone feels, you know what, I've been valued, I've been heard. You may not always take into account their input, but if they know that they've been heard, they know that, okay, next time I can come again, I'll share an idea. So be a good listener as well. So there's sometimes where you are stuck, but someone says, you know, I think let's try this. And you find it's very, very easy. So also be open. You cannot do everything yourself. So be open to bring in others. So I would also move to, as an engineer, you also have to be a good communicator. Communication is very, very important. Know the people that you are talking with. You talk with your technical team. Yes, you can speak in jargons, you can speak in your engineering things, but there'll be times when you're talking with other people from other departments. You're talking with HR, you're talking with finance, you know, you're talking with sales. You've got to make sure that you are able to communicate with them. There'll be the others who have the privilege of working with the customers, of working with the people in the village, you know, in the communities. Be a good communicator, you know, be able to know that for me to get my message across, I have to do A, B, C, D. The other element I'll put in is integrity. This is very, very important. It's key. You have to be a person of integrity. I think it's also one of the things that is a risk to our profession. You know, people can come and find you, say, you know what, um, can you award me this contract? Then maybe I'll give you something. You know, you have to be a person of integrity. And sometimes these things happen when you don't have money. You don't have money, someone comes, you know, there's this here. Come on, come on. But you have to be a person of integrity. To the point that even, say, for instance, you design the structure, it should have 4 boats. Give it 4 boats, not 2, not 1. 4 boats. You have to make sure that if there's work that maybe you were working with your team, something is not right, go and rectify it. Because the problem with engineering is that it has a way of showing itself after some time, you know.
Absolutely.
So there's an element of being a person of integrity within the work that you're doing, but also ethically, you've got to be someone of integrity, because that's what is also troubling our field, that others are not people of integrity, and we are bringing disrepute to the profession, because you engineers are your fake, you know, because someone somewhere didn't do something right. So we have to be people of integrity. You have to stand your ground. If someone brings you money and say, you know what, no, I'm not doing this. Someone says, let's do, let's bury this, no worries, nothing will happen. No, no, no. Let's do it the right way. You have to have pride to say, I've done it the right way. Yes, you might lose things. You might lose customers. You might lose whatever. You might even you might even lose colleagues. But integrity is very, very important. I would again add to. Okay, I
So
don't know. Maybe if you
before
have.
you move to the next point, because I think this is
Yes.
very important. Why do you think like that's an issue? Like in your view, what's like the main reason why you think um, those who have, I don't want to call it a trap, for those who have agreed to maybe like cutting corners or doing the two balls instead of four, like what really is the reason? And I know it's an issue of ethics, but I always feel there is like an issue behind it. Like the time you mentioned like those deals are gonna come to you when you don't have money. Like, do you think it's because someone is being underpaid, or what is it? What's the issue?
Okay, again, this one is a complex one, so I might not fully answer it, but there are various things. I'll put an example. For instance, there are others who might be paid well, but because they have loved the taste of money, so they just want to get more. Yeah, there are some probably it might have just been a low point in their lives. Maybe they get good pay already, but they're like, I think it doesn't hit. Let me just see how it goes. So just because of a trial, you find you're in the trap. Some can be caught unawares. They've just found themselves in that from nowhere, and then you go, what happened there? And you are not able to. get out of there. And some, of course, indeed can be the low paying itself sometimes, but again, you've got to be someone who is ethical to say, is it just because I'm actually low paid, or maybe there's something underlying? Okay,
Mm,
so yeah, there are various ways, and maybe some it can be as easy as, you know what, thank you for giving us this contract. I would like to
yep.
give you something for lunch. You know, it can
Mm,
start as something like that. So you should be able to discern to say, is this really going to end here, or I think there's more to this. You know, so some can easily get trapped in that way, and some actually develop a habit to say, you know, um, regardless whether they're getting a good pay or not, but they just have loved the taste of money, and then they want to, you know, get more money. And I would add to say, guys, money will never be enough. Money will never be enough.
okay.
But
Yeah.
you need something that can cover you. Okay,
Mm,
that can cover you basically to say, you know, I can eat, I can move about, I can dress myself, I can feed my family, I can save up, and something that is in line with your experience. That's good, but otherwise, money will never be enough. I can assure you that. So you have to also have the heart of contentment. You've got to be contented, because the other thing I would say is that sometimes we compare ourselves with people. You know, okay, I'll give you an example. When I was going to my first job, we
mm,
went 12 engineers.
mm,
So four were mechanical, four were electrical, two were civil. At the end of 2 years, half of us had moved on to other places. Now it's
mm,
almost 8 years, everyone is doing their own stuff. So
mm,
sometimes we think because we are classmates, we were in the same cohort, we have to go down the same path.
mm,
Some will go down the same path, some will go a different path. So do not compare yourself with others. I would say let
mm,
their journey and their exploits motivate you. That's what they should do. But do not reach to the point of comparison, because others, you know, compare to say, but those guys are getting more money. No, I think let me
mm,
do other things too. And you find that you are doing things that are unethical to
mm,
gain more money. So I would say love what you do, love what you do, and grow in that, you know, and be a person of integrity and ethics, so that if no matter whoever comes, you say, you know what, guys, I think I cannot do this. So if it's losing your job, you better lose it. If it's losing an opportunity, you better lose it. So I would
mm,
say it in that way, but as I've said, it's a complex thing. It's a complex
mm.
thing, and I would
It is. It
advise
is. Mm,
that please don't get into that. If you find yourself in there, take your feet and run.
mm.
Otherwise, yeah, you'll be in trouble.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you brought that up because the reason why I asked you what could be the causes is there's a time we were having like a discussion a while back with my colleagues about the engineering industry here in Kenya. And we were thinking about, you see, what we were talking about, not having like anchors or not setting some anchors for maybe pay for engineers. Like this has to be the minimum. So you can find it's either the people graduate and they go to the industry, they find there are no jobs for 1, 2, 3 years, or the people who find their jobs, they have to do with very, very low pay for 1, 2, 3 years. So then what happens is these engineers get into survival mode, and that is very dangerous because you lose professionalism. So that's actually why I was asking you, like, what it like why you think there might be that, because I really noticed that because I think when there are no those anchors, and when the institutions that we have, they're not defending like maybe the profession. Sorry, Engineer Mpesi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
um your screen was frozen. Yeah, so
Ah,
what
okay,
happens
sorry.
is, engineers get into that survival mode, and it's very dangerous when you and now that's why I'm so glad we're having these conversations, because there's a difference between you knowing what to expect and you just getting there and being shocked. Like literally, this is not what I expected for engineering. No, 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 no. This is not where I'm supposed to be. But it's good that we know we're telling the graduates, you're going to find somebody's gonna give you this deal and it's going to be a wrong thing. And this is what you need to do. You need to say no to that because of this and this and this. You might get there and you might not find the amount of money that you wanted to earn on the onset. Probably the money is going to come later, but not maybe when you start your career. So I think that was a very important thing that you brought up on ethics. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
so you're welcome. Yeah, so I'd say it's a sticky subject, but at the end of the day, you still have to fight to ensure that you have maintained your ethics and your integrity as well. So sometimes when you speak, people think, he's good, he's getting money, he's a professional engineer. But I've also been there where I was underpaid. I've been there where maybe you were like, but this money is too small. Okay.
Mm,
But at the end of the day, I would say, again, it sounds like a cliche, but I would say you
mm,
can weigh to say the experience that I'm getting, is it going to help me or not? Because, okay, I'll
mm,
give an example. Uh, there's some companies that you work for, even if you just work for a year, the moment you
mm,
put that company on your CV and you apply somewhere, you get the high
mm,
chances of getting employed because they know that
mm,
that firm
mm,
does actual work.
mm,
So if you have that in mind, you look at it and then you go like, okay, I think I can stay here for a year or two, and then I'll
mm,
grow, and then I can move elsewhere, or I can
mm,
move into a permanent role here.
mm,
I think
mm,
helps. And of course, at the end of the day, unemployment is not just in engineering; it's in every it's every field,
mm, mm,
because there are some you mentioned, I think, of what, doctors. You go to others, they'll tell you also, there's unemployment. You go to that field, so it's a thing that is cutting across. So I would just say you've got to be patient. You've got to be patient.
mm.
There are some
I
who get the
like
job
that.
immediately. There's some who get it
Mm,
in a few weeks, some months, or some years. Some you spend a good number of years without getting a job. So you've got to be patient.
mm,
That's
mm,
what I can say. Patience is very important. So yeah.
mm. I think you put it so well. Like it's not only engineering where there is no unemployment, and also you said there's something you said that I liked, and now it's slipping my mind. What is it? Okay, if it comes back, I'll tell you. But for now, you were listing the skills. I think I had cut you short. So
Okay.
you
Yeah.
are,
So
yeah.
okay. Thank you. Now I would combine these two skills, that you've got to be a team player. Okay. How be able to work with others, regardless of whatever level that is. Be able to have them maybe be able to do your part and contribute to that team. So there's a certain quote by Vince Lombardi. It says, individual effort to a group work is what makes a team work. Right?
Mm,
So the effort that you're bringing, if you're in a team, maybe there are 10 of you, each one has got their individual effort. That is what is going to make the group work. But if
mm,
others have reduced their percentage of effort, that is going to affect the team. So be a team player, but also on the flip side, also be someone who is able to make initiatives.
mm,
Yes, because they will, okay, in some places they'll ask you, what have you done as you progress into
mm,
your career? So be able to say, you know what, I was able to work with the team and assist maybe in reducing the losses with this percentage. I was able to guide the team, with maybe a small budget to accomplish this project in the shortest period. Things like those. So be able to bring in initiatives where now uh, you find that maybe your team lead or your supervisor, sometimes they can open the door, but maybe sometimes they cannot. But if you've got an idea, be able to say, you know what, I've seen ABCD. Can you try this to see what you
mm,
can do? So provide that initiative. bring in innovative ways to change things or to improve things. That also helps. So be a team player, but also provide initiative. Then I'll also go to another skill that is important is planning and budgeting. As an engineer, you always need to plan, uh, regardless of what type of work, but you've got to plan. If it's maintenance, if it's design, if it's production, you have to plan, and you've got to know how to budget. To say, in this month, this is how much we are going to spend. And if you've overspent, be able to say we've overspent because of A, B, C, D. If you're within budget, be able to isolate to say yes, we're able to spend within budget or even underspend because of this, and that. So that's also a skill that you need, because there will be times when your supervisor will come, hey, there's this piece. Can you come up with a small budget? So you have to be quick. You know how to come up with estimates. You do all that, and then you say, you know what, I think this one is going to cost us, for instance, 20,000. And then you're good to go. So
Yeah.
you have that skill is going to help. And then maybe I'll move to my two last skills. First one is have the proficiency in Microsoft. Uh, it can be easy because you have a computer, you think blah blah blah, but you have to have the proficiency in Word, in Excel, in PowerPoint, right? Because you might be asked, hey, tomorrow we have a meeting, Simon, can you please prepare a quick PowerPoint? So if you're not well versed, you will struggle. But if you are, you can do that, you're done. And then you've got Excel. Excel can do a lot of things. You can do a lot of things. You can do your calculations, you can do whatever you want in there. You can show your data, be able to know that, because that's also what the industry will require. It sounds as small, but it's very essential. People struggle with Excel, people struggle even with Word, Microsoft Word. Some people will struggle with it. But if you know your way around that, it becomes easy. You're able to do that. You do it in the quickest time. You have your work that is smart. It's good. And you might even be the go-to person. If you need this, go to that person. They're going to assist you. And the last part is skills in softwares. Are very important. SolidWorks, AutoCAD, Solid Edge, ANSYS, Inventor, and then there are also a bunch of other skills that are other softwares that are out there. I would encourage you to familiarize yourself with those skills, those softwares, because they will help you. So again, I would say maybe those that are not yet working, uh, this is the time to build your acumen in that software. Develop the proficiency in SolidWorks, develop the proficiency in AutoCAD, so that the moment you get the job, instead of learning two things, the job and the software, you will just focus on the job itself. And these softwares are also helpful because they can even help you to do other things. I mentioned earlier about product design. It can help you to come up with various products. Whether you're talking of, I mentioned something as small as toys. Kids love toys. That's an untapped place. You can make various other things where maybe each time probably some people may rely to import those things. You can say, what, I've got this. If you give me some startup materials, I think I can be able to guide you with A, B, C, D. Or because of that proficiency in those softwares, you can come in even as a designer. You may not produce, but you say, what, maybe people are looking for these days. You've seen how companies are constantly improving their products. Even these bottles, the I'll put it like even for water, for drinks, they are looking at, how can we set ourselves apart from such a competitor? And then you can come in, maybe if we try to bring in A, B, C, D, and then you model that with your software. So I'd also encourage, that's also a skill that is essential for us as mechanical engineers. You need to have proficiency in those applications that I've mentioned, but then there are also others that I haven't mentioned. So as I keep on emphasizing, the list is not exhaustive, but you probably have other softwares that you are working with, like Fusion, things like those. You can also learn them more, and they will help you as well. So I think those are some of the skills that I can share. That you have to be a problem solver. You have to be a good leader. You have to be a good communicator. You have to be a person of integrity. You have to take initiative. You have to be a team player. You have to know these planning and budgeting skills. You have to know, these skills in Microsoft, and also have the proficiency in the computer aided design softwares as well. They will come a long way for you as an engineer. Yeah, I think those are the ones. I don't know if there's anything from you.
Those are comprehensive. Thank you so much. And now I've remembered what I wanted to tell you that time. What I wanted to say is what you were saying essentially on ethics is you must be willing to delay your gratification. Like it's kind of like an investment. You have to be patient when you invest for you to get the profits, the interest, and all that. So I think that's what came to mind when you're talking about.
Yeah, that's true. And also, I would say sometimes it can happen to others to say, you know what, maybe I'm in the wrong field, but what I've learned is that you've got to have pride in the work that you do, enjoy it, regardless of the industry, but enjoy it. Be in there to say, you know what, I'm proud of this that I'm doing here. Be proud of your work. Okay, yes, there'll be people probably that you will come and pat you on the back, but be the first person to pat yourself on the back to say, you know what, I've done a good job. You know, be proud, enjoy the work, because that's what is going to motivate you every day to wake up to say, you know what, I think let me go and continue and do that
Absolutely.
job. There'll be times, even because you enjoy your work, you even dream about your work. Sometimes it happens. So because you've left a certain work halfway through, you dream about it. I think after I wake up, let me do this, let me fix that point, let me do that, because you enjoy your work. So my point is that there'll be a time when money cannot uh, cut it for you, but the fulfillment that you're getting from the work that you're doing is what is going to cut it. So I'm not saying money is important. Money is important. You need to survive. You need to have good things, but there's also a place where the job that you're doing has to motivate you. So if you don't like the job that you're doing, you have to develop an affinity for it. Get involved in the job, know it, enjoy it as you're working on it. Whether it's maintenance, you're fixing something, you are getting your team to fix it. Enjoy it, because the moment you fix it, you are glad. It's up and running. If you're doing design, the product has come up, you see it on the display, or maybe it's functioning, it's good. If it's the product you produced it, maybe it's a soft drink, maybe it's sugar, maybe it's milk, maybe it's furniture, you've seen it somewhere. Yes, I've done it. If you are doing the inspections, it's good. If it sells, you've made a sales. So you have to enjoy that. You've done the process. There's a win that has come. Enjoy that win, and pat yourself on the back. Be confident in the work that you do. I also want to share this also as we are ending, about the imposter syndrome. Okay, I read it from a certain book by engineer Innocentia Malangu. I think she's from South Africa. There's a book on that, but there's a chapter on the imposter syndrome, where sometimes you doubt yourself. You've done the work, but you go like, but is this really me? You know, you are part of the team. You've achieved the target, but you're doubting yourself that I think I haven't done enough. So I would say you again have to be proud with what that you're doing. You've got to have faith in the work that you're doing, or believe in yourself. I'll put it that way as well. To You remember I said about individual contribution to a group effort. Know what you're bringing to the table, and uh, take pride in that. That, you know what, maybe we worked on the project. This is what I did, and be proud of that, because I think sometimes we have that imposter syndrome. You say, no, I think I haven't attained that level. When probably you get that promotion, maybe you get that professional title, maybe you are being recognized, you feel like, but I think I haven't done enough. But no, know that you are doing what needs to be done. And when the time comes for you to get, if it's the promotion or the recognition, do that. And also be the first person to cheer yourself.
Very important. Very, very important. Thank you for sharing that. And since we have like, I think, 2 minutes to close, please we'll spend one to answer Sam's question. He's asking, when you're talking of leadership, he was asking if companies hire you directly from campus as a maintenance engineer, are you required to lead the technicians?
Aha. In most cases, yes, you are required to lead the technicians. In most cases, yes, because of course it just depends, but generally your job will be to make sure that the equipment is up and running. So you probably have to produce maintenance schedules. You probably have to have to be on call. There's some breakdowns that can happen at night. You might be required to go to the factory or to the office to help that. But yes, you'll be leading technicians. That's what I can say. And it'll also be good to learn from them. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Engineer Cornelius. Like, okay, I'm so happy that we had this conversation. Myself, I've learned, not mechanical, but I've learned, and I'm hoping all the people who joined us and people who will be replaying this live have learned so much. I'm so sorry we don't have time for a parting shot because our live is closing in a few seconds. But I want to
Yes.
appreciate you so much for being here, and I want to give a shout out to your wife. I know she's watching you. Thank you so much for giving us your time on a Saturday. Goodbye. This was Uhandisi Talks. Till next time. Bye.
Bye. Bye bye. Thank you.